One of the things that makes the Rivian the most unique truck on the market is the gear tunnel storage. I can fit my golf clubs, a pack and play for my daughter, all sorts of stuff in here. You just press one button, it pops right open. Oh, you can even fit your wife in there. It's perfect for long trips, actually. It's wonderful, it's great. What's up, you guys? Michael Elefante here. I've owned the Rivian R1T 2022 Launch Edition for just over 6 months now, and I felt like it was an appropriate time to do a full review of everything I love about the truck and some things that honestly I think Rivian could probably improve upon for the next edition. So come on, let's check it out. First of all, what all of you probably want to know, this thing is fast. 0 to 60 in just over 3 seconds, which weighing over 6,000 pounds, honestly should be illegal. This thing is incredibly fast. All right, 0 to 60. Let's see if it's really as fast as everyone says. 60, 80, 96. Someone's braking ahead of us, so don't want to kill anyone. I did hit 99 one time. I probably should have hit 100, but better safe than sorry. It's weird driving an electric vehicle. It's almost nauseating when you hit the gas. It feels like you're in a legit space shuttle, like pulling G's. I mean, you're like in the back of your seat. And if you're in the back seat, that's like, hope you're not nauseous or didn't just eat a big Mexican meal, because that is coming up for sure. So the weirdest thing to get used to driving the Rivian, and probably any fully electric vehicle, is the regenerative braking. When you come off the gas, I'm speeding up, I'm not touching the brake. Like it basically just comes to a full stop on its own. I rarely use the brake pedal unless it's like, you know, an emergency situation where I have to stop really fast, or if I'm going downhill, or if the battery is near 100%, the regenerative braking actually does not work as well for whatever reason. Maybe because the battery's at full capacity, it doesn't actually do that. And the regenerative braking is cool because it actually preserves the battery power, or the battery percentage, I guess, that you have in the vehicle. It also preserves the brake pads, to my understanding, because again, you're not using the brake pedal ever. So again, just came off the gas, came to a full stop. It's all-wheel drive quad motor, so each wheel has its own independent motor, which is pretty amazing. There's tons of storage everywhere, in every area you look in the truck. Honestly, more storage than a typical F-150 would have. One of the things that makes the Rivian the most unique truck on the market is the gear tunnel storage. And it has an emergency button for somebody to get out. All right, Jill. Amazing. And it glows in the dark. How about that? So what's also cool about this is on each side, you have the air compressor, which plugs into the back, which I'll show you in a minute when we pull up in the tailgate. And this is also the perfect little seat if you guys like to camp, put on your shoes, whatever fits your fancy. And you can also stand up on it to whatever cool stuff you need to do up here. Come around back. The bed cover is automatic and already built in, which I actually really like, so it keeps everything nice and dry. We do travel a lot, so keeping stuff back here is great. And then the tailgate pops open. A couple awesome things about the Rivian. As I mentioned before, it has an air compressor that's built in, so if you have a flat tire, is the PSI reader right here. You plug the air compressor on. It's all automatic, run off the battery, so super easy to use, very convenient. We haven't had to use it yet, thankfully. And on this side, you have 2 outlets that you can plug into. Again, if you have a speaker, charge your phone, whatever it is, camping out in the middle of nowhere, you have that. Tons of places for tie down as well. So if you're carrying, you know, a bigger load of things that go above the bed cover, you guys can use that. The gear tunnel does come all the way through, which is super nice. Seriously, golf clubs, this is like the perfect compartment for golfers. On this side, there is a built-in first aid kit, which I've never had to use a first aid kit anytime traveling, but it is nice to know that it's there and it's hidden. And then we'll show you guys the frunk. This is also what makes electric vehicles unique, especially as a truck. This thing has more storage than a full-length, you know, F-150, right? Because you have the bed, but you also have this and some other hidden compartments. So this is great. You can fit tons of stuff up here. You can fit your chargers, you can fit boxes. There's actually a secondary compartment. So if you see here, it goes all the way down. Tons of storage, built-in net as well. There's also a get out of jail free button right here as well. So if the wife wants to ride up here, she can get out at any time that she wants. And it's all managed by this little carabiner, which is one of the 3 remotes. There's a wristband, and then there's one that looks like a credit card as well. So there's multiple ways in addition to your phone that you can get in the vehicle. In the back, it's very baby friendly. Obviously, we have a 4-month-old. By the way, super easy to get in and out. But what I want to show you is the additional storage back here under the seats. Clearly I didn't clean that before this video, but hey, lots of storage under here. This pulls down, pulls through, and if you actually need to get in the gear tunnel from inside here, there's a little thing that opens up like a garage door, and you can reach in and grab whatever it is. Grab your wife, pull her out, grab a beer, just kidding. But that's also very convenient right there. There are tons of outlets all over this car. Being an electric vehicle, I guess that comes commonplace, but there's an outlet under here, which is nice if you need to plug or charge your phone back here. There's also USB-C ports right here, and then a nice little dash here. You come onto the main cabin, there's a bunch of storage under here. What I think is really cool, actually, which I didn't know until after I bought the car, is there's a portable Bluetooth speaker that charges itself, and it's super loud. I bring this out on the golf course, I bring it camping or fishing, whatever you want. Charges in there, and it's great. Everything is controlled by this one center display. Everything is a super simplistic design, more of a minimalism approach, kind of like Tesla and all of these other electric vehicle manufacturers. But what's cool about this display is you can control a bunch of different things, of course, but the different driving modes is what I think is pretty fascinating. So it's an all-purpose mode. That's typically what I drive on. You can adjust the ride height. Sport mode, you can do a lower height, and it's typically for more fun, a little bit better acceleration. It'll lower the vehicle in real time as you're driving or while you're parked. So right now I'm lowering. The conserve mode, if you're doing a longer distance trip, it'll turn it into more of a two-wheel drive vehicle, conserve some battery power, allow you guys to go a little bit further mileage-wise. There is a snow mode, which is new. That's another thing cool about Rivian and the other electric vehicle manufacturers. There's updates. I had an update last night. Took 80 minutes. It's like my phone. It just updated overnight with one click of a button. Then there's off-road mode, which is really cool. You guys will be able to see this vehicle lift off the ground, and it adjusts to 15 inches additional height. So if you guys are into rock crawling, rally, I don't even know what rally is. I don't do that. Drifting, soft sand, any terrain where it's a little bit bumpier ride and you need higher clearance, you would turn it into off-road mode. And then, of course, you have the towing mode as well, which I'm not going to turn it in here. But if you need to tow something, that's the only thing I have not tested yet is towing. I'm really curious if the battery life, like how much drastically it goes down if you're towing something like a boat or maybe like a U-Haul, you're towing, moving your house and moving storage. Everything else on the car can be controlled from here. You can open the hood, you can open the charge port, open the gear tunnel on the left or right side, close the bed cover, open the tailgate. All the mirrors, adjust the wheel, everything. The only other controls you typically touch are these buttons right here that control everything on this display. It's got heated and cooled seats, which is nice. It also has something called pet mode, which is great. If you have dogs, you turn on pet comfort so you can still lock the car, and it will maintain a certain temperature or climate control. There's heated steering wheel, heated seats, cooled seats, the whole 9 yards, front and rear displays to control everything right from one panel. There's also car wash mode. I've only done one car wash before, but I think that just makes sure everything's super tight and you don't have any issues with water coming into the vehicle. Tons of other cool stuff on here. There's a hotspot as well, which I've actually done before. I've worked in parking lots. I worked off the side of the road, turn the hotspot on, connect my phone, computer. You can connect up to 8 devices. Super cool. There's camping mode as well. What's really cool about camping mode is you can actually turn on self-leveling. So if you guys have a bed cover tent or a rooftop tent, you can push a button and it will self-level the car so you're not sleeping with your head below your butt. That was actually an update that was about 4 months ago overnight. I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet. The only downside to this vehicle, honestly, I think the battery could be a little bit better. I know it's their first edition of the truck and the SUV, but the total mileage they tout to be just over 300 miles of range. I have not seen that yet. Even on a full charge on conserved driving mode, I only get like 290 miles. but it also depends where you're driving. If you're on a highway constantly on the gas, your mileage is not going to be as good. Since it has regenerative braking, anytime you come off the gas, it will actually slow the vehicle down and give itself a little boost in charge and preserve some of that power. So this vehicle, there's sensors literally all over the car. Like, it's a giant computer. So, and there's also cameras all over the car. So when you're backing up or going forward, you can turn on the all camera mode, and you can see right in front of your vehicle, the side, out the sides, and out the back, and on top of the vehicle too, to kind of see exactly where you are. And what's really cool is the gear guard. So while I'm parked, I can alarm it or just have motion sensor, and I could capture footage from every single person that walks by the car. And it's actually really funny when I have this parked in a parking lot. You'll see a group of dads come over, and the one guy who's seen the YouTube videos about the Rivian is just going on this whole like animated display about everything about the vehicle, like he's selling them a Rivian himself. But that's actually kind of handy. I mean, if you're ever parked in an area and you just want to have that extra sense of security, it'll record everything. And also, if somebody's to look in the vehicle, on here a little Yeti looking like guy pops up and it says gear guard is on and you're being recorded. So it does give you some sense of security there as well. One other thing I don't want to forget to mention is the moonroof or the sunroof. I honestly forget it's there half the time, but when you're sitting in the back seat and you're looking up, it's really nice. You feel like you're just in like an all glass little space shuttle on the road. So you can see the sun, the stars, whatever it is while you're looking up while someone's driving you around. So it'd be a fun car to be an Uber driver in. You can kind of like a lot of Teslas too. Some other vehicles have it, but the giant glass display on top is nice. Now, all those things that I love about Rivian, there are a few things that I think can be improved upon. Number one, it's a pretty dang expensive vehicle and the seats are not that comfortable. They're also super narrow. So someone who has an athletic build like me with a wide butt, every time I sit in here, I feel like I have to sit like this because your butt and your hips bleed over onto this edge and it's not super soft. My wife drives a Range Rover and you feel like you're riding on a cloud of pillows. This one, not so much. So I think that could be improved upon. Number two is there's one thing that happened to me. It was really my only bad experience with Rivian. My wife and I went for a flight down to Tampa, Florida for 3 or 4 days and we came back. The truck had 70% battery. It was completely dead. I couldn't even get into it, right? Because your key the car is electric, so it won't even signal to unlock the car. My phone wouldn't work, and the door handles are also flush with the thing. So like the only way to get in the car is to go through this long process of actually manually taking off the door, which really only Rivian technicians know how to do. Now, the reason the battery died so fast, Rivian couldn't even figure it out and didn't even tell me. The only solution they had for it was to tow my truck from the Greenville airport in South Carolina all the way to the nearest service center in Atlanta. That's the only downside with these new vehicle manufacturers is they don't have a ton of support locally. However, the customer support was phenomenal, and I actually figured out what the actual problem was when I got the truck back 2 days later. I had a seatbelt that was plugged in for my dog that attaches to his harness. So when we go on trips, one of our dogs sits up here, and that's just for safety measures. Now, what I had found out was when a seatbelt is plugged in, if you were to lock the vehicle and leave, I guess it's more of a safety feature, but there's nothing in the settings that tells you this. The climate control on the display will not turn off. So when we went to the airport, I just quickly shut the door, locked the car, and then left because we're trying to go catch our flight. And when we dropped the dogs off to the dog sitter, I completely forgot that little seatbelt was plugged in, and it was plugged in the whole time. So while we were gone, not only was the camera recording for safety, but the climate control on the display was on. So the car probably died in 2 or 3 days. So that was one big negative thing that obviously could have been avoided, but I just had no idea that was a feature. Something else funny, my wife and I went to buy some road bikes because we were gonna maybe train and do a triathlon or two this year. And while I was buying a bike, the one guy who was helping me put it in the vehicle said, "How do you like your Rivian?" I saw something on a Rivian for the Greenville Spartanburg Airport. And it was somebody commented on a giant Facebook group that someone's Rivian got towed off. And I was like, oh yeah, that was me. That was the only bad experience I've had on Rivian yet. So apparently I'm famous locally for being the idiot who had his Rivian towed out of the airport. Also, airport security called me freaking out. They thought I was trying to get out of an $80 parking ticket. So anyways, had to pay that and we were good to go. And I haven't had any problems since. And the last downside I'll mention, and I knew this coming in, was it is an electric vehicle. So any trips that are longer in length, you guys are going to have to take your time a little bit more. I will say that the Superchargers or fast chargers, Electrify America, those types of things, they do charge the vehicle incredibly fast. So with having the dogs and a newborn baby, it's a good opportunity for us to feed the baby, walk the dogs, and we are back up to a full charge in typically 30 to 60 minutes, depending what our battery level was at when we pulled up. But it still is not as convenient as pulling up to a gas station and just refueling the car and being off to the races within 5 minutes. Well, that's a wrap, you guys. That's my review on the Rivian R1T 2022 Launch Edition. Honestly, probably like a 9.5 out of 10. There's only a few things that I think could be better with the truck. Other than that, I love driving it. Let me know if you guys would drive this thing. Drop some notes in the comments below. And also, make sure to follow me here, subscribe, and then follow me on all other social media channels at EmmaLafonte6. Appreciate you guys watching. Can you open it? There she is. Depends if you want to go in feet first. Gosh, Jill! Oh my God, Jill's in the gear tunnel.